Hi everyone, this is Heather from weddingsbyheather.com, where my goal is to equip you with the best techniques and tips to make you a better and more efficient photographer. In this video, we are going to look at editing styles inside of Lightroom. But first, make sure you check out all of the free resources available on my website. And please join us in our private Facebook group for weekly live Q&A videos. They're unscripted, a lot of fun, and the link is below. I took this photo a few weeks ago and I really like it. I like the composition. I like the rule of thirds, the leading lines. They're a little close to that stone wall, but I thought it might be fun to edit this photo in a few different ways just to see how it changes the overall feel of the image. So this is the original right out of the camera. What we're going to look at is a clean edit with a vignette, and then we're going to add dimensional light and then give it a film look. Let's begin with the original. The first thing I do to all of my photos is add this image perfector preset that I've created along with my friend Leanne Marie. The link is below to learn more about this preset. I actually apply it upon import to all of my photos, so I'm going to start with that. It applies lens correction, adds a tone curve to improve contrast, reduces noise no matter what the ISO, and sharpens. And I think I'll just pull down on the exposure a little bit and warm up the overall image according to my style. And in addition to adding a slight vignette via the effects panel, what I'm going to do is press K on my keyboard in order to access my adjustment brush. I'm going to pull down on the exposure, the highlights, and the shadows just a little bit. Make sure I have a nice big brush, and I'm going to brush over some areas of this stone. K on the keyboard in order to drop that tool. And then I'm going to press the backslash key to see the overall before and after. And I would consider this a nice clean edit, and it's probably how I would deliver this photo. But let's change things up a little bit and add some dimensional light to the right side of the image. I don't know, just to see what it looks like. I'm going to turn off that vignette and get rid of my adjustment brush because I don't wish to have that in this particular edit. Then I'm going to press M on my keyboard in order to access the graduated filter. I've created a custom brush that I call Warm Sunlight, and all it does is add light, reduce the highlights, and it gives it this warm color. So I'm going to click and drag from the right to the left just to add some light to that side of the photograph. And now that I do that, I'm thinking I do want to darken the left a little bit. So I'm going to press K in order to access my adjustment brush. Now you have to be careful here. I do have my adjustment brush, but you'll notice when I start to brush with it, I'm brushing with Warm Sunlight because that's what I had my settings for the graduated filter. So I'm going to delete that pin by pressing delete or backspace on the keyboard. I'm going to hold down Alt or Option and reset that tool, and then pull down on the exposure and the shadows. That's probably too much, but the great thing, yeah, a little bit. But the great news is that tool is interactive, so I can come back over and say, well, I did not mean to take it that dark, so let's take that up just a little bit. K in order to drop that tool. Now that I'm looking at this, I feel like it's still a little bit overexposed, so I'm going to pull down on the exposure a little bit. And let's go ahead and look at the before and the after. And the reason that I burned the left side of the photograph and dodged the right side is to give this photo a little more dimension. And when I say dimension, what I'm talking about is there is a difference between highlights and shadows. Previously, in the before photo, it was just a little bit flat. So that's just the second way to edit this photo. We started with a vignette and then we added some dimensional light. And the third thing is, what I want to do is go into my tone curve, and I've created this curve called low contrast for film, and I'm just going to go ahead and turn that on, and you can see what it did. It lowered the contrast and made it a little bit hazy to emulate film. And whenever I'm adding a film look to my photos, I like to come into the split toning panel and add a little bit of color to the highlights and shadows. I'm going to pull this up to around 25 and then saturate it. If you want to see what that color is, you can pull way up, but I'm just going to add a little bit of that color. And then in the highlights, I'm just going to pull this up a little bit, slight amount of saturation, and I'm looking at this thinking, whoa, that is a little too much color, but that's okay. We can look at that adjustment off and then on via the switch and it just adds a little warmth to the image, but I really like the direction that's going in terms of a film look. Intent of this video is to show you that you will develop your editing style much like you develop your shooting style, and a combination of the two will make you who you are as a photographer. I hope that you found this useful. I'll see you in the next video.